Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. And this is this is a long time coming for this particular topic. A lot of movie fans and MCU fans have been anticipating the verdict to this trial that has finally wrapped up this week, and it is the trial against Jonathan Majors, where he was accused of assaulting his former girlfriend, and uh, all hell broke loose apparently when all this took place. This was a gut punch to a lot of fans of Jonathan Majors. It namely me. I can only speak for myself. I am a huge fan of Jonathan Majors. I mean, I love his work. I've never met him, don't know him as a person, but as a actor, as an auteur, he is amazing in everything that he does. I mean, uh, go down the list: Lovecraft Country, The Five Bloods, The Harder They Fall, which will be our film today that we're going to review at the end of this episode. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Creed 3. The list goes on and on and on. This dude was amazing. Amazing. His turn on Loki as He Who Remains and Victor Timely was amazing. The dude is a chameleon. I mean, in every sense of the word, I enjoy his acting. But that doesn't excuse that doesn't excuse what he's accused of or what he was convicted of on Monday, December the 18th. And I must say, I wasn't surprised by the outcome, but at the same time, I was kind of like, because when you go through all of the particulars of the case, it just seems like both of them are idiots. Jonathan Major and his former girlfriend. They were both idiots. And, we know people like this. We know couples like this who are just volatile. It's just a volatile couple. And it escalated. And this is what we got. Now, whether I believe what took place actually took place or not, look, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know. I can only go by what I've heard and what I've seen. I've seen the video of the alleged incident, and I was like, well, this doesn't look like somebody who assaulted a woman. Whereas he ran from the situation and she ran after him. Actually, and we're going to go over the trial and what was said and what was done and all this other stuff, which led to the verdict. But she openly admitted that she was the aggressor in the situation and trial. So now I'm scratching my head like, why? Why has this happened? But he was convicted of assault and harassment, the two lesser charges in this domestic dispute. All four, it was four charges altogether, and he was convicted on two of them. The lesser of the two, I think, strangulation was one of them, and something else I can't remember, but he was acquitted of that. But they were all misdemeanors, so it's not like he's going to be in jail for 20 years or anything like that. But it still destroyed him. It destroyed his career, which we're going to dive into. I mean, minutes after the verdict came down, Marvel just said, well, that's it. That's it. We are parting ways. And so no more Kane. At least no more Jonathan Majors as Kane. I don't know if they're going to recast. I don't know if they should recast. Actually, they should leave it alone because it was pretty much wrapped up in Loki season 2. That character is really nowhere else you can go with it. Well, there is more you can go with it, of course, but I think it was a nice wrap up to that. Just let it go. Just just let it go and let us all move on. Let's go over the trial. Let's go over not only the trial, but the incident that a lot of statements that were taken surrounding it. And, you can come up with your own assessment of it if you haven't already. I, Personally, I don't even care. Whatever is over, it's done with. We can all, we can all move on. But on March the 25th of this year, 2023, Jonathan Majors was arrested on assault, strangulation, and harassment charges stemming from a domestic abuse of a 30-year-old woman who sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition, according to the NYPD. He was released into custody, from custody that day, and his spokesman denied the allegations, saying Majors had done nothing wrong. We look forward to clearing his name and clearing this up, said the spokesman. On March the 26th, Jonathan Majors was arraigned in the New York City criminal court on charges of assault, attempted assault, harassment, and aggravated harassment in connection to the arrest. Jonathan Majors' attorney revealed that there were two written statements from the woman recanting these accusations. On March the 30th, Jonathan Majors' lawyers released text messages allegedly sent by the woman. One message included remarks that they said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me, and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. While another message included, I reiterated how this is not an attack and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur and should be removed immediately. Following the first accusation, a report in Variety stated Jonathan Majors was a suspect in multiple cases of assault and abuse. Several alleged victims have reportedly come forward and are cooperating with the New York District Attorney's Office. However, the district attorney declined to comment. Grace Jabari, who is Jonathan Majors' former girlfriend, was granted a temporary order of protection by a judge against Jonathan Majors ahead of the May 9th court date. Jonathan Majors' alleged victim was later identified as his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. Security footage was later omitted as evidence to clear Majors of any physical violence. It was claimed Jabari appears unharmed in the footage. This is denied by the prosecution, who stated surveillance video shows Miss Jabari visibly upset, crying, and seeking help from strangers to get an Uber cab home. In the wake of this incident, the United States Army announced that they were suspending recruiting commercials that starred Jonathan Majors. In a statement released to the public, the Army said, while Mr. Majors is innocent until proven guilty, prudence dictates that we pull our ads until the investigation into these accusations are complete. Several weeks after his arrest, Jonathan Majors was dropped as a client by both the management company Entertainment 360 and the public relations firm The Leedy Company. Jonathan Majors was expected to star in and executive produce an upcoming adaptation of the Walter Mosley novel, The Man in the Basement. But he was cut from the film and his role had been recast. Majors' invitation to the 2023 Met Gala was rescinded, and he was removed from the Texas Rangers ad campaign. On October the 27th, 2023, Disney removed Magazine Dreams, an upcoming film starring Jonathan Majors and originally set to be released just this past week on December the 8th by Disney Searchlight Pictures from its release schedule. And a lot more took place after the conviction, and we'll get to that in a few. But the trial began on November the 29th, 2023. The assault trial began with Jonathan Majors pleading not guilty to misdemeanor assault and harassment charges. On December the 5th, Jabari provided testimony backing the prosecution's claim that Jonathan Majors assaulted her and presented evidence to the court as well. On December the 11th of 2023, one of the strangers who came across Jabari after the alleged assault, identified as Chloe, testified Jabari looked visibly upset when she saw her outside, but did not notice any injuries on Jabari at the time. Another video was released of Jonathan Majors yelling at his ex-girlfriend, comparing himself to Martin Luther King Jr. and Barack Obama, and describing himself as a great man and demanding she act like Coretta Scott King, who was the wife of Martin Luther King Jr., and Michelle Obama, who was, of course, the first lady, wife of Barack Obama. I listened to that, and that was comical to say the least, to ask a white woman to act like two iconic black women in our history. On December the 13th, 2023, the judge presiding over the case allowed key evidence to be released to the public, including CCTV footage of the alleged assault and the two running across several blocks of New York City. Closing arguments began on December the 14th, 2023. And on December the 18th, 2023, Jonathan Majors was convicted of assaulting his former girlfriend after a trial that he hoped would vindicate him and restore his status as an emerging Hollywood star. It did just the opposite. Like I said, maybe an hour after this verdict was rendered, Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company dropped him from their upcoming films. A Manhattan jury found Majors, who is 34 years old, guilty of one misdemeanor assault charge and one harassment violation stemming from his March confrontation with then girlfriend Grace Jabari. She said he attacked her in a car and left her in excruciating pain. His lawyers says Jabari was the aggressor. Jonathan Majors, who was acquitted of a different assault charge and of aggravated harassment, looked clearly downward and showed no immediate reaction as the verdict was read. He declined to comment as he left the courthouse. Disney and Marvel immediately dropped the Creed 3 star from its upcoming film projects following the conviction, said a person close to the studio who spoke on condition of anonymity because he wasn't authorized to speak publicly on the matter. Before his arrest, Majors had been on track to become a central figure throughout the MCU, playing the antagonist role of Kang. Majors had already appeared in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and first two seasons of Loki on Disney Plus. He was to star in Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which was slated for release in May of 2026. Majors, who credits include The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Devotion, and The Five Bloods, had been one of the fastest rising stars in Hollywood. The Yale School of Drama graduate also starred as a troubled amateur bodybuilder in Magazine Dreams, which made an acclaimed debut at the Sundance Film Festival in January and was set to open in theaters just earlier this month, as I said earlier. Ahead of Major's trial, Disney-owned distributor Searchlight Pictures removed Magazine Dreams from its release calendar. Major's sentencing will be set for February the 6th. He faces the possibility to up to a year in prison for the assault conviction, though probation or other non-jail sentences also are possible. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in a statement that the trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse and escalating patterns of cohesion. The dispute between Majors and Jabari began in the backseat of a chauffeured car and spilled onto the streets of Manhattan. Jabari, a 30-year-old British dancer, accused Majors of hitting her in the head with an open hand, twisting her arm behind her back, and squeezing her middle finger until it fractured. Major's lawyers alleged that she flew into a violent, jealous rage after reading a text message from another woman on his phone. They said Jabari had spread a quote unquote fantasy to take down the actor, who was only trying to regain the phone and get away safely. But as Jonathan Majors sought vindication from the jury, the trial also brought forth new evidence about his troubled relationship with Jabari, whom he met on the set of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania 2 years ago. Prosecutors shared text messages and showed the actor begging Jabari not to seek hospital treatment from an earlier head injury. One text message warned it could lead to an investigation even if you do lie and they suspect something. Over the 4 days of tearful testimony, Jabari said Majors was excessively controlling and prone to fits of explosive rage that left her afraid physically quite a lot. She broke down on the witness stand as the jury watched security footage of him pushing her back into the car after the backseat confrontation. Prosecutors described the video as showing Majors manhandling her and shoving her into the vehicle as if she was a doll. Jonathan Majors arrived at the courtroom each morning carrying a Greenleaf Bible, accompanied by family members and his current girlfriend, actress Megan Good. Which I gotta say, look, I'm not saying that the man ain't good with Jesus, but you never heard of you've never seen him carrying the Bible before. You never heard him talk about his spiritual beliefs before, but now all of a sudden you walking in with a Bible. It's all for show. And as a Christian, I'm deeply offended by stuff like that because I don't consider that real. Now, I'm not judging him. I don't know what his spiritual standings are, but it just feels showy to me. you know, like I said, I could be wrong. I hope that I am wrong, but it just feels that way to me. He was expressionless for much of the testimony. He wiped away tears as his attorney urged jurors during the closing arguments on Thursday to end this nightmare for Jonathan Majors. Majors did not take the stand, but his attorney said his client was the victim of white lies, big lies, and pretty little lies invented by Jabari to exact revenge on an unfaithful partner. The attorney cited security footage taken immediately after the shove that showed Majors sprinting away from his girlfriend as she chased him through the night. Jabari then followed a group of strangers she met on the street to a dance club where she ordered drinks for the group and did not appear to be favoring this injured finger that she had. She was revenge partying and charging champagne to the man she was angry with and treated these strangers to fancy champagne she brought with Jonathan's credit card, says Jonathan Majors' attorney. The next morning, after finding Jabari unconscious in the closet of their Manhattan penthouse, Majors called the police. He was arrested at the scene where Jabari was transported to a hospital to receive treatment for the injuries to her ear and hand. He called 911 out of concern for her and his fear of what happened when a black man in America comes true, says his attorney, accusing police and prosecutors of failing to take seriously Major's accusations that he was bloodied and scratched during the dispute. In her closing arguments, prosecutor Kelly Galloway said Jonathan Majors was following a well-worn playbook used by abusers to cast their victims as attackers. This is not a revenge plot to ruin the defendant's life or his career, says the prosecutor. So that's the trial in a nutshell. That's pretty much everything that took place leading up to this verdict of guilty for Mr. Jonathan Majors. This as I said before, man, it stinks because he was such a talented actor. And I say was like he's dead. I mean, his career is ruined because he was at the top, but it isn't over. I don't think it's over. You know, in a few years, I think he'll bounce back from it and probably end up starring in some Scrape the Screaming movies or something to that effect. But as far as him being a lead actor in a big studio motion picture, I don't see that happening. Unless there's a kind of a rehabilitation or, you know, apology or a vindication. We find out that what we thought was true wasn't, you know, that the case isn't what it seems. And I still feel that way. And this has nothing to do with me being a fan of his, because if you're wrong, you're wrong. You know, i.e., look at R. Kelly. You're not going to find a bigger R. Kelly fan than me. But Robert Kelly, no. But I enjoy R. Kelly. I love his music. I think the man's a musical genius. But I mean, it goes without saying what R. Kelly is sitting in prison for. But I hope there is some type of bounce back for him, because there isn't too many actors in Hollywood where I can sit back and say, man, I can see him in anything. He can pull off anything. There's only a few actors that can do that. I mean, a few. I think of Gary Oldman, you know, actors like that. Gary Oldman can be in any type of film and he can play any type of character. This man has played Lee Harvey Oswald. He's played Dracula. He's played a corrupt cop. He's played a terrorist. He's, you know, he's played Commissioner Gordon. I mean, the man is a chameleon. He played Winston Churchill. He can do it all. There's really no wrong he can do, and there's no range. You know, the sky's the limit for an actor like that. And Jonathan Majors is that type of actor. He can play any type of role and excel in every single one of them. And it's just it's sad. It's a sad day, whether you agree with it or not. And let me say this. I am a big component against domestic violence. I don't rock with that. That is something that I despise wholeheartedly. You know, you should never put your hands on a woman. You should never strike a woman, hit a woman, throw a woman, choke a woman. I mean, technically you shouldn't have to do that to nobody, but especially a woman, you know, as a man. So I don't respect people like that. And if all of these accusations are true, yeah, I'll definitely lose respect for him. And I believe that there was some type of physical altercation between the two of these two individuals. But I also believe that, and this is just, you know, speculation on my part, but I think they both were maybe a little intoxicated. Maybe they just got into it, and one was fighting the other one off, and the phone thing, I believe as well. You know, you, she checked the phone. She's like, wait, some, who is this texting you? You know, look, I'm married. I know how it is. I've been in relationships before I got married. I know how it is. It's like a bomb. That cell phone has caused more divorces and domestic disputes than any other object in human history. A cell phone is a landmine, people. I'm telling you. So don't man, look, if you're gonna do dirt, please, man, keep it off your phone. But don't do dirt. Don't do dirt. I don't want it to come out. Oh, okay, Kevin said no. Don't do dirt. But in the event that you do dirt, keep it off your phone. Anywho's, yeah, man, this stinks. This really stinks for that young man. And man, the sky was just the limit for him. And talking about magazine dreams, I've been hearing about that since January, since Sundance Film Festival, when all of the speculation was coming out how he was going to get an Academy Award for this film, and I was looking forward to it. I mean, everybody who's seen it was like, man, he is amazing in this film, and I we'll probably never see it. We'll probably see it down the line, but no time soon. But man, just seeing him in the second season of Loki, just about a month ago, he was amazing, amazing as Victor Timely, amazing as He Who Remains in that show. Oh my God, what a waste! What a waste! All because of one incident, and that stinks. But I digress. Let's get into one of Jonathan Majors' films that I hold in high regard for several reasons. I've reviewed this film before, but I think it's fitting to review it for today, and it is none other than the 2021 American Western film directed by James Samuel in his directorial debut. We're about to see his second film come out in a couple of weeks, The Book of Clarence, but this was his first film, and it was none other than The Harder They Fall, which premiered on Netflix 2 years ago in November. And man, you want to talk about love a movie? I love this movie wholeheartedly. And it's more of a sentimental thing. This isn't the greatest film to ever come out. This isn't even the greatest Western to ever come out. But this was during a time when I was starting to come down off of my, I guess you could say, depression from losing my father about 5 years before that. And it hit me hard. And one of the biggest genre of films that my dad watched was Westerns. He loved Westerns. The man got cable just so he can have the Western channel, Encore Westerns. He got the whole package, 20 channels just so he can watch that one because he couldn't get the channel on his own. But he loved Westerns. And I watched this movie when it came out, and I was like, man, I wish my dad was alive to watch this. Just to see this, and especially with all these historical black figures who are actual figures in history, even though this film takes liberties with these characters, none of this story is actual truth, but they are based on real cowboys in the West. And it's one of the few Westerns whose principal cast was all black. It was an all black cast, and it starred Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, Delroy Lindo, Lakeith Stanfield, Danielle Detweiler, Dion Cole. The list goes on and on and on. But this was just an amazing film to watch, and I absolutely loved the ensemble cast. I loved how they integrated these real cowboys in this fictional story. I mean, you have legendary characters such as Nat Love, Rufus Buck, Stagecoach Mary, Bass Reeves, who we see a TV show about that, Lawman Bass Reeves, which is on Paramount Plus, I believe, which stars David Aiello, and I've yet to get to watch it, but I'm itching at the bit to watch it. But Bass Reeves is a character I knew about for years. My dad told me about Bass Reeves. You also had Cherokee Bill. You had Bill Pickett. I mean, all of these legendary characters. I guess they legendary to me because I knew about them from my dad. And so that was fun to watch. And it had a typical Western type story, you know, this revenge tale. It had a nice twist at the end of it all. But you had Jonathan Majors in this film basically spearheading this all-star ensemble cast of all the actors I named, and Idris Elba as Rufus Buck, you know, the villain in this film, and what we find out later on regarding the connection between those two characters was amazing. But breaking down this film, starting with the acting, Jonathan Majors, who is the star of this film, great, great as Nat Love, this outlaw who is seeking revenge for the murder of his mother and father. Uh, he great. I mean, he was just great. Idris Elba as the villain. Man, I loved Idris Elba. And Idris Elba is another one of those actors I enjoy watching, have fun with him. But this particular turn, he was frightening. He was very menacing as Rufus Buck in this film. And he wasn't one to be played with. You know what I'm saying? It was a really flushed out villain, really good backstory. You understand who he is. A good villain is a hero in his own mind, and he was a hero in his own mind, but he also fully acknowledged the fact that he's a villain. You know, he's bad and he can't change that. You know, but the two real standouts, as much as I love Jonathan Majors and Idris Elba in this film, the two actors who stood out the most to me was Lakeith Stanfield as Cherokee Bill and Regina King as Trudy Smith. Regina King really stole the movie. Stole the movie. I loved her character here. I loved how she commanded the screen, and you know, she had a menace to her as well that was frightening. You know, all this outlaw group that ran with Rufus Buck was just like, man, this is a bad bunch, man. that they assembled together. But Regina King, as the only female in that bunch, she was the most frightening one. You know, because she didn't care. She did not care. And Lakeith Stanfield, once again, another one of those actors who can't do no wrong. I'm telling you, this was a unbelievable cast. How they got everybody together in this film, it still blows my mind. And Lakeith Stanfield will reteam with James Samuel in the book of Clarence, which comes out in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I am looking forward to that. But yeah, this was a great cast. The story was it was a typical Western. You know, it was a revenge. You know, a revenge film that most Westerns are at its core, but it was done in an interesting way, a believable way, which the story just hooks you in, and it was a fun ride to go on. The direction here, to say that this was the first film, this was a made by a first time filmmaker, I couldn't tell. This was this was well put together. And in case you don't know who James Samuel is, if you're a big fan of Seal, you know, Kissed by a Rose, you know, Seal with the face, He was married to Heidi Klum, I think, for a while. This is his brother. Yeah, James Samuel is Seal's brother, the singer. So there you go. There's some education for you in case you didn't know that. But yeah, he did an excellent job with this film. It was paced fairly well. We had enough time with each character to really get the motivations of all of the characters. Not and it didn't overshadow the star of the film, and I thought that was well done. Not too many films can do that, especially when you have a big ensemble all-star cast like this. But this this film did it. They pulled it off with it, and man, exciting, very exciting to watch this movie. I think that there are a couple of scenes in here that were kind of like where the story just kind of it went movie on you. You know, it went typical Hollywood on you and put you in positions where you had to suspend disbelief. And granted, it's not based on a true story or nothing like that, but it was just some things that were convenient, you know, that our heroes stumble upon or our villains stumble upon. It just conveniently happened. And, you know, some things just, little nitpicks like that bother me, but it was still a great film. I really enjoyed The Harder They Fall. I watched it recently. I rewatched it maybe 2 months ago. I rewatched it and I enjoyed it yet again. You know, it was funny. It was violent. It was serious. It was heavy. It had every emotion checked. And you can't go wrong with that. The Harder They Fall from 2021 gets a letter grade of a B plus. Really good Western. And I was just talking to my cousin about this a couple of days ago because we were reminiscing about what our favorite Westerns were. He brought up that he had just watched Unforgiven. And he was like, man, that's the best Western I ever seen. And I really thought about it. And I'm like, yeah, you about right. You know, Unforgiven was cold blooded. I love Unforgiven. And we went down this whole rabbit hole of Westerns that we watched, the Tombstones and other films like that. And I'm like, man, and then we came to the conclusion, man, they don't make Westerns anymore. Why is Hollywood afraid of making Westerns? At one point, that's all they made, you know? But now you can't get a Western nowhere. And I feel that's an untapped resource in Hollywood, man. Westerns, you can't go wrong with Westerns. You know, it's rare that you mess up a Western. It's rare. It can be done now. Don't think that it can't be done, but it's rare. And, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, you can reinvent the franchise just like this film. This film was kind of a reinvention of the Western genre, yet keeping the core values of a Western firmly intact. Completely enjoyed it. But with all that being said, if we do get it, it probably won't star Jonathan Majors anytime soon. It really sticks in my craw that this young man has just basically thrown the career away that he had. You know, the road was paved with gold, and for some strange reason, he deviated off the road onto this dirt road where he caught a flat, blew out all four tires actually, and got stranded. Oh man, what a sad story. But I was given some advice a long time ago when I was a little boy. And this was the advice. And Jonathan Major should have followed this advice. I'm not going to tell you who told me this, but it has held true for the better part of 40 years. And that advice was, if you can't use their comb, don't bring them home. Now, if you don't know, what that means, just, hey, Google it or whatever. Ask somebody around you. Ask somebody older around you, they'll let you know what that means. But that's basically what Jonathan Majors should have did. Oh man, poor fella. But in any event, what do you feel about this case? Do you think that they got it right, that he needed to go down? Do you think that this is warranted, or do you feel Jonathan Majors is getting railroaded? I saw a lot of stuff online where a lot of people are standing with Jonathan Majors. You know, they feel that the prosecution and the jury got it wrong. That this wasn't what it seems. I'm kind of on the fence with it. I'm like, I think they both are wrong. Basically, they're both wrong. But I guess somebody had to go down, and they flipped the coin, and Jonathan Majors lost. you know. But I would like to know your thoughts about it all. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look me up on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network, as well as YouTube, everybody. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this kind of an impromptu show. I wasn't even going to do a show this week. We were going to hold off until our big finale, season finale, that's coming up next week, which is a surprise. It's a surprise. I've been working on this show for over a month, and I still haven't finished it yet. It is something new, something different that I'm trying, and if it works out, I'm gonna do it every year. But if it crashes and burns, this will be the last time I do it. But I put in a lot of work for that show, but it's gonna be exciting. Just keep an ear out for it. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this little talk about Jonathan Majors' conviction that came down just this past week, where he was found guilty of assault and harassment, and his unceremonious exit from the MCU. Well. Now the big question going forward is what's going to happen? Or, I think I asked this earlier. Are they going to recast? Are they just going to do away with Kang? Or what's next? What's next for Marvel? But I'm pretty sure Jonathan Majors could care less right now what happens with Marvel. And at this point, who cares? Because Marvel's been struggling so bad, they probably need this to kind of recalibrate, Let's start over. Let's do something different. Because this wasn't working anyway. That's with Jonathan Majors, and he was one of the best actors in Hollywood, and they still couldn't make it work. So they needed this. But in any event, I want you all to have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love one another. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.